very much, Xavier. So the floor is open for questions.
Everyone must still be asleep this morning, but I think all of us owe them and Steve Hall, I think, is still in the audience, a hearty congratulations for spending almost a year of their life or more sitting on the Finch Commission. I agree with them's statement that the Finch Commission, I think, was very important for academia and certainly important for publishers. They did a tremendous job for the entire community. And it's a shame that the European Commission didn't follow suit. I find it very ironic that a government discussion of open access is not open, which was not the case in the EC's process or its pronouncements. And I agree with them that it's a shame that they didn't follow the example set by the Finch Commission. As Wim mentioned what's happening in the U.S., and if I could just, I'll try to spend 60 seconds summarizing what's going on there. He mentioned that there is a petition to the White House to do something dramatic on an open access mandate across all the U.S. government agencies. And of course, with the 1-2 punch of the Finch Commission and then the EC announcement a day later, there was great pressure on the U.S. to do something. And a petition by, I think now, 28,000 signatures for urging the U.S. government to do something. I don't find 26,000 people out of roughly 1 million authors to be an overwhelming mandate to do something, but when these petitions exceed 25,000, the White House has to answer it. Now, apparently, they were meeting in secret Tuesday to the President's Office of Science Advisor to produce an answer for this petition. I don't know what that answer is. But I can tell you that a group of publishers and other researchers have been meeting with the two largest agencies other than the National Institutes of Health. That's our largest funding agency, and the only one with a public access policy right now. We've been meeting with NSF and Department of Energy for a year and a half to work out a multi-variable solution to public access, because public access and open access as one business model is just one business model. And if you'd like to hear some of the details, I had an interview published in the Scholarly Kitchen in July that summarizes sort of a year and a half of work. And we're hoping that this year and a half of engagement that a group of publishers, many of whom are in this room with these two agencies, will continue, and they won't be sidetracked by answers to petitions. So I wish I had something more positive to tell you, other than the fact that something hasn't appeared yet, I think is positive. And we owe our thanks to Wim and Steve for their very hard work the past year. Thank you very much.
I want to add Bob Campbell there, because he was from Wiley, Blackwell Wiley. He was also in the committee, and there were also two members of societies. Steve, are you still in the audience? I don't see you, but can you help me with the names? Yeah, these two societies were also members of the Finch Group, so we take the credit with the 5 of us. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Liz Wager. I'm a publications consultant and trainer, and I often advise people on journal choice. And I have a question to Wim, really, an observation. It intrigues me that we have the hybrid journals, but Springer's experience seems to have been similar to other publishers, that actually they are changing only very slowly towards fully open access. So it's a sort of incremental shift, maybe we'll reduce the subscription by a little. So a question, are there any journals that have gone sort of completely from subscription to fully open access? Because I find it rather strange that at the same time as the publishers are, I can totally understand why they're doing the hybrid journals, but at the same time they see the need for setting up new, completely open access journals, which seems bizarre to me, because setting up a new journal is hard. You mentioned the fact that you don't have an impact factor, you're not on Thomson Reuters, you don't have the brand, and it would seem much more obvious to simply switch the journals. Why isn't that happening? Or is it, or do you think it will?
There's a very simple reply to that, I think. That is, as long as the subscription model is as successful as it is, there's little reason to start messing up your own success. And with hybrid, you have the risk of doing that because you kind of transfer your legacy journal. You would then, with all the things that happen there, which are legacy, like print and all these things, that you transfer into an open access world, while there's still a lot of requests for that subscription part. So open access journals, new open access journals, at least at Springer, per definition are print only. Oh, sorry, e-only. It was late last night. And it is not only a different business model, but it's also a different journal. And that's why we start new journals, also not to interfere too much with our very, very successful subscription model, which we have to be fair. Still, if 15% of our articles is open access, still 85% is in subscription, in the subscription world. And yeah, why would we deliberately leave that?
Thanks. I'm Ian Russell from Oxford University Press. I have a question for Wim, but just to answer Liz's point, OUP transitioned our largest owned title, Nucleic Acids Research, from a subscription model to a fully open access model. And actually the evidence there is that the revenues continue to grow for that journal, and it's continued to grow in terms of submissions as well. And the publisher of that title's just sat to your right, actually, so you can talk to her about it over coffee. But actually, we've presented on that in the past, and slides on that are available. But I just wanted to pick up Wim's point about the RCUK Wellcome Trust policies. We met with representatives of RCUK and Wellcome just last week, and we were rather surprised to hear them say that while the letter of their policy, the RCUK policy, is very clear in that if a publisher provides a gold open access route, that's the route that the author must follow to comply with the policy. What they were saying is because the payment is going to be administered by the higher education institutions, by the libraries, by the universities, and it will be down to them to decide, actually, i.e. down to the universities to decide how they spend the funds at their disposal, that the spirit of the RCUK policy is that they will accept a green route if the publisher is compliant through both green and gold. I wondered if you'd heard the same thing, and any reactions you might have on that.
Yeah, it's important to underline, I think, that the recommendations of the Finch Group are not the same policy as the RCUK policy. The policy of the RCUK has been defined actually during the discussions in the Finch Group in the first stage. And there was some discussion in the Finch Group, of course. Yeah, what does this exactly mean for the outcome of the Finch recommendations? But I have to stress that the Finch recommendations, they also say something else in the RCUK, because Finch says embargoes less than 12 months are not favored. And that's what I think in language like that. So that's a very important. We're not guilty of the RCUK policy. That's my first point. Second. RCUK, that's how these things move now, and I've been talking with RCUK, and especially also with Wellcome, of course, about this, and I get the impression that there's really willingness to go the gold route if there is a reasonable, and there you go, if there is a reasonable possibility to go there. And this will be the discussion over the coming year with RCUK. What is reasonable? Yeah, does it have to do with price or with et cetera, et cetera? Yeah, we'll see where that goes. But in principle, we stick to the RCUK policy that says if there is a gold route, we go gold and we pay for it through grants to the universities.
Sorry, this is one more question about the Finch Group. But where does it go from here? Because HESCI will be talking about this at the universities of the UK. And is the Finch Group going to come back again and see what's been done? And how's that going to work? Are you going to get called up forevermore to be checking on how this is working?
The only thing that has been decided is that in, I think, a half a year or so, we'll get together again and see what is the outcomes of the different policies and evaluate it. Not that there's anything that the Finch Group can do to change governments or funders' mind, but we can at least check if it is in the spirit and in the rules of the Finch Group recommendations. That's what we decided. And I have to say, you see that in other countries, actually, I invited Dame Janet Finch to the Netherlands to set up a similar like group, to have discussions on that, and so profit from what was done in the Finch Group in the rest of Europe, because that's now more our mission, I think, than it's next to trying to have the RCUK and HESCI have as good policies as possible. Also spread this kind of talking through the rest of Europe, and I really appreciate, Fred, the American effort to also there have work together more than tell people all the time that they're crazy and they're doing the wrong thing. Let's work together on solving this apparent issue. Audrey is she's the most important woman of this.
Well, I'm going to leave you alone, Vim, sorry. I was going to ask Xavier, you talk now with publishers about, what your insights are. How are they responding? Are they being really innovative? Are they coming up with new models?
Not really yet, I must say. But this is really a chain, and they don't come with innovative model because the retailers don't accept very innovative products. This is a very interesting situation that usually most people consider that Apple is the most innovative company for books, enhanced books and so on. But actually they just put books, text with video and audio. That's something that the web did 20 years ago. And so, but of course this is comfortable, this has plenty of quality, but this is not innovative in the way you could imagine a book could be innovative, or content could be innovative. And I think there is something missed here by retailers in general that could sell link, as I said, to anything a publisher could propose, from size, okay, that Amazon, Apple, Kobo, Barnes & Noble could do, but also more content that are more in line with the habits of the users. And there is something that I'm really willing to experiment with the first publisher who will agree to do that with us, because it is still distribution for me, is something that is an author, a renowned author. I would like to propose him or her to have a soapbox on Twitter where he would do some formal content, and you subscribe to this user especially for a small fee, but for a fee. And the interesting thing would be that the content will come right into your timeline. That is, you don't have to go out to seek for content, but you will have it. I don't know if the author, it could be fiction or non-fiction, the author could enhance the value of your timeline, actually. Maybe one of the place where you are spending, sometimes you are willing to spend your time, your very precious time, and you will say, okay, maybe 1 hour a day I will look at this timeline because I've chosen interventions that are interested. This Amazon cannot do. This Apple cannot do. Those retailers are constrained in a way, and so the publisher who are admiring and willing to make money quicker, they don't realize often that Apple is 30% of the e-book market, Amazon is 30%, and if you make something that is compatible with enhanced Apple books, you will lose 70% of the e-book market. This kind of thing, it's really nascent. It's really the publishers didn't yet go to the next level where they can by themselves invent something new. I don't think so.
Thank you. We have something else. I know that. Sorry, question over there.
It's James Milne from Royal Society of Chemistry. There's a question for Wim. You mentioned that, in a fairly matter-of-fact way, that Springer has a 12-month embargo period, and that's that. How do you cope with mandates as they're saying it's 6 months?
I was afraid that question would come. We don't know yet. It's for discussion at the moment, because there's basically two things you can do. You can either not publish or accept it. And it's a difficult question. From our perspective, the UK is only 6% of the articles published in the world. So maybe you could miss that small part that you don't publish them because you don't have a gold option. I have to say, Springer has, of course, almost for every journal that we have a gold option. So the question is not that big in our case. But yeah, I think we should discuss this together without getting into taking measures together. That wouldn't be allowed, but I think it's a good. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen there. If people are going to accept 6 months, I have the feeling that we shouldn't go that road, but that I have not said that in public.
It's just among us.
Yeah.
It stays here.
Hello, Ben Ramster, IC Publishing. My wife works in an academic department, and I've seen her boss struggling to remember to give her annual appraisal each year. This makes me slightly sceptical about compliance or having a high level of compliance with green open access for institutional repositories. I've heard of anecdotal reports of there being poor compliance with the Wellcome repository need to deposit articles in that. I was wondering, I saw that the World Bank stats for the World Bank's repository, it's recently launched, but they, as you acknowledged, they are fairly low at the moment. What plan do you have to, obviously one hopes that researchers will be diligent and deposit their articles, but what plans do you have to make compliance near 100%?
We're doing, that is a very good question. We're doing several things on that respect. One, we're working with publishers. So when we are now negotiating with publishers an umbrella agreement for anybody in the bank that is publishing with them, so that the license is standard. But beyond that the publisher can also help us in depositing the article in the repository. The response has been very positive. I think the publishers are willing to work with us in doing that. So that's one front. The second one is working with the authors themselves. So we are launching all kinds of training, internal background launches, training opportunities, talking to them so that they understand what they need to do with the new policy. That includes helping them negotiating the agreement, but going beyond and depositing the article in the repository and complying with the policy. In the past, the authors were left to work directly with the publishers. They didn't have any kind of copyright support. One of the retooling things that we're doing in our department is really expanding the scope of our work to work across all bank researchers and helping them facilitate the process of publishing. So it's a mixture of internal training and raising awareness, and externally working with the publishers. Well, our goal in terms of compliance, and I have to say that the compliance that we measure is only for those articles that are being published externally. Internally, we are aiming for a 95% compliance because we have a stronghold on that. So externally, the goal that we have for the first year is a 60% compliance rate, and we're hoping that from there we will take it, we will increase it.
Thank you. I'm not sure if we still have one question, but maybe the time is really short. Just the one last.
Lindsay Haddon from Society of Experimental Biology. We're all talking these days about using the CC BY license with commercial use. How should we respond to researchers who tell us that they're under pressure from their funders, and in the case I'm talking about, it's a government funder, to monetize their own research, and therefore they're reluctant to sign that sort of agreement?
Yeah, the only thing I can say is let them go to their funder and tell them that it's impossible. I don't. What else can you do?
Okay, I'm afraid it's not the best word to finish with, the impossible. But I'm afraid we will have to stop here because the time is running short. I think I should get the red light, the flashing red light for this. So thank you to all the panel members. So please join me in thanking them.